Welcome to Explified. A phobia is defined as an extreme, irrational fear of something. It is an anxiety disorder which makes individuals persistently avoid certain things, situations, and activities which seems illogical to the rational eye of a neutral observer. Several thousands of reported phobias exist, of which some have gained precedence and massive popular attention. There are some phobias which are common and can be found among several people. Some examples include arachnophobia, fear of spiders, acrophobia, fear of heights, and claustrophobia, fear of confined or enclosed spaces. These phobias seem somewhat explainable even to the people who don't have them, owing to their abundance among their masses. Arachnophobia affects 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men. Besides, a fear of spiders can't really be termed as irrational. Some of those are downright scary. Similarly, it has been scientifically proven that very large heights tend to mess with everybody's brain by disrupting its innate sense of balance and equilibrium, albeit to different extents. However, there are several other phobias which are so obtuse and random you wouldn't even know that it was possible to be scared by that thing. Some examples can be Triskaidekaphobia, the fear of number 13, Hellophobia, fear of sunlight, and Nomophobia, fear of not having mobile phone access. The last one, however, might not seem to be very uncommon at the pinnacle of the digital age in 2019. Phobias can be grouped mainly into 3 broad categories: social phobia, fear of public speaking, interacting with new people, or any other forms of social reciprocities; agoraphobia, fear of being outside; and specific phobias, fear of other items or situations. The existence of phobias is attributed to both genetic as well as acquired factors. It might run in the family but has an equal chance of developing throughout one's life owing to a mix of cultural and social upbringing. They can also set in due to certain traumatic life events. In this video, let's look at 3 very interesting phobias. Triskaidekaphobia is the irrational and excessive fear of the number 13. Although it seems weird, it has a very common affliction. Perhaps one of the most cited phobias in popular culture, with several hundreds of books, movies, songs, documentaries being premised around the number 13, Triskaidekaphobia has had many implications in the real world as well. For example, the 13th floor is absent from many high-rise buildings. When the flats were being sold, realtors observed exceptionally low demand for apartments on the 13th floor. This wasn't necessarily because all the customers had the phobia. The rumor about the fear of the number 13 had spread via word of mouth like wildfire and had begun to be widely considered as inauspicious and unlucky. Some accidents and mishaps also occurred in the relation to number 13 and gained massive media coverage. It could have been purely coincidental, but it had already sparked off this sentiment of premonition among the people. Plenty of movies have been made in relation to this. Friday the 13th is considered to be one of the most epic horror thrillers of all time. Hellophobia, a fear of the sun. This one has also been attributed with a cultural significance, with the people afflicted with the phobia often being likened to vampires and bats. A person suffering from hellophobia can be very troubled, depending on the extent of the affliction. Due to their withdrawal from the sun, it results in severe vitamin D deficiency, skin diseases, melanin imbalances, and eyesight problems. Treatment can indulge cognitive behavioral therapy and exposure therapy, and in severe cases, anti-anxiety medication. Claustrophobia. Considered to be a specific phobia, Claustrophobia is an irrational fear of closed spaces. Although a very common phenomenon, claustrophobia affects close to 7% of the world population. Severe patients go to great lengths to avoid small and enclosed spaces. Triggers might include a crowded bus, congested lifts and subways, airplanes, or even wearing a tight turtleneck. The symptoms have several manifestations, including severe sweating, chills, accelerated heart rates, and hyperventilation. Although these fears are mainly physiological and psychological issues and originate out of biological factors, some of them can be traced back to certain cultural and societal aspects which might have influenced and aggravated them. For example, Triskaidekaphobia is widely considered to have initially originated from the concept of the baker's dozen. 12 was considered to be a very round number, and the addition of one more item to the set created a sense of imperfection among many people, which eventually turned into a phobia. Outside the spectrum of reported phobias, several exist which go unreported and undetected or dismissed as a one off freak occurrence. Some people with phobias are simply labeled as scaredy cats and told to get over it. Phobias, however, are a form of social anxiety disorder very much different from the typical fear that we experience while watching a horror movie or before exam results come out, and can be termed as a serious medical condition. When a phobia is triggered, a person can go through a lot of emotional and even physical pain, sometimes amounting to hysteric bursts of anguish and anxiety attacks. Even though they might seem extremely illogical and overdone to someone who doesn't suffer from the same phobia, it is very important to acknowledge them and initiate proper countermeasures and treatments.